Okay, today we are going to go over hand signals, and we use hand signals a lot in math so that I can do a temperature check of the classroom. We're also going to use them digitally so that people aren't blurting out. That's the big reason why I use them, because kids are always like, I know the answer and stuff, and so we use hand signals so there's none of that, and so that I can see without there having to be any verbal communication. You are going to need this very first page of this packet. As you can see, it has hand signals on it because it's hand signal day. So you're going to cut these out, and you literally don't have to cut around the rectangles. You can just cut down the center, and you're going to glue this in your math journal on page 2. So right behind page 1, and you're going to glue one on this side and one on this side. And remember, we squeeze dab. And so we're going to put one on this side, one on this side. Very rarely do we glue stuff on the right hand side, but today we are because there's 2 pages for it. So I'm going to go through the hand signals. You are going to write down what the hand signal is, okay? And then I'm going to show you what it is. So the very first one is this, and you hold it right at your chest, and it's a thumbs up, but it's right at your chest. And what this means is I have an answer. We also use these for entry tasks, which we will start hopefully next week. And this tells me that you've solved the problem. So if I put a problem up and you solve it, you want to do this. This lets me know that you have an answer. Then, so this is I have an answer. Then, instead of just like, oh, I solved it, so now I can just sit here and mess around and do whatever. No. You're going to find another way to solve it. So let's say it's a multiplication problem and you did multiplication. Think of another way that you could explain how you got the answer. So you're constantly thinking of more ways in which you got the answer, and you go like this when you have another answer, another way of getting an answer. So this is the initial, I have an answer, I solved it, and then you need to think about other ways in which you can solve it, and you go like this. So this means I have 2 answers, or I have 2 ways of solving it. And then this one means I have another one. So you're constantly thinking of other ways to get to the answer that you got, so that when we explain it, you have multiple ways of how you got it. So you're not just sticking with your one. Math has a lot of different ways to get to an answer, and that's what I want you guys to be thinking of. So this is I have another answer. Then when kids are explaining the answers, you guys are going to be listening to them. So when your classmates are explaining the answers, you're going to be paying attention to them. And if they got the same answer as you, or they're on the right path, you're going to go like this. So it's like the hang loose sign, except you're going like this and you're shaking your head yes. Because what this does is it gives confidence to your classmates. It lets them know that they're on the right track and to keep talking. Because it is very scary to stand up and talk in front of everybody. Now we're doing it virtually, so it's very scary to do that. So I want to make sure that if someone's doing the right thing, you're going like this and letting them know so they can see all your little boxes going like this. Because if nobody's doing this and everyone's sitting there, they'll think that they're doing the wrong answer, or that will clue them in that maybe they're on the wrong path. So if people are answering the problem correctly, yep, me too. This means me too. So it's the hang loose sign, but you're shaking your head like yeah, keep going. Okay, so after somebody, so I'll call on somebody and they'll explain their answer, and after we've either been like yeah, that's the right answer, or we've sat patiently saying nope, that's not right, what will happen is I will guide them through to help them get the right answer. Okay, so I don't need people turning on their mics or blurting out, that's not right, you're doing it wrong. You're already telling them by doing this or by sitting quietly and waiting. So let me help them get to the right answer, okay? The next one is you raise your hand. So you raise your hand, or you make sure I can see it. It's just like a big old hand. And this means that I solved it differently, meaning I got the same answer or I got a different answer. So you're either gonna say, I got the same answer as so-and-so, but I solved it differently. Or you're gonna say, I got a different answer than so-and-so, and this is what I did. Okay? So it is, I solved it differently, or I have a different answer. The next one is point your finger and you raise it so that I know. And this means that I have something to say. So it means that you have something to say, but not in the sense that you're 5 years old and you have something to say about your cat or your dog or what happened at your house. Like, this is math, so we're only talking about math. So this means I have something to say. Like, I have something to add to what somebody said. Okay? Got it? So it's raising your hand, but with a pointer finger. It means I have something to say. The next one that we probably will not be using a lot virtually, but just in case, is this. So it's like a sign language S, and you would shake it like this. And that's if we're in a small group and I have you guys turn and talk to your neighbor, and I'll say, did everybody share? And if your whole table is done sharing, you do this. And so what that means is if I give you an opportunity to find the answer, meaning I give you time to turn and talk to your neighbor, or I give you time to listen to somebody else give an example or an answer, that means that everybody then becomes fair game. So if I give you an opportunity to find the answer, look in your journal, or turn and talk to your neighbor, which we can't do virtually, but whatever. That means that as soon as I have allowed you time to figure out the answer, you become fair game, meaning I can call on anybody I want. They do not have to be raising their hand because I gave you time to find the answer. So if you have no idea what's going on, you're going to want to look to somebody and be like, hey, can you help me out? Or if you hear somebody explaining something, you want to make sure that you're paying attention, because I get to call on anybody I want when I say, turn and talk to your neighbor. Or go ahead and look in your journal and tell me what you see. If I'm giving you time to find the answer, that means that you need to be finding the answer and you become fair game. Okay? So, we each shared. So let's say somebody is explaining and you have the urge to blurt out, that's wrong, that's incorrect. That is not what you're going to do. We definitely don't do that in Miss Rostrom's classroom, and we're not going to do it in her virtual classroom either. Okay? So, if you disagree with what someone is saying, you wait until they are finished. What I will do is I will cue everybody. Did anybody do it differently? Does someone have something to say? And so you're going to have your hands flat and you're going to go like this. Like, And that means that you respectfully disagree. So you don't say you did it wrong. Those aren't words that we use. We say, I respectfully disagree with what you said. This is how I solved it. So it's a different way. Instead of saying, I didn't get that answer or you got it wrong, you say, I respectfully disagree. This is what I did and this is why I think my answer is correct. You always have to back your math up. So you can't say, you did it wrong and be done. Or I respectfully disagree. That's enough. No. You have to make sure that you are saying that you respectfully disagree and why you respectfully disagree. You have to be justifying your answer. So that means I respectfully disagree. And you are not doing this when someone is giving their answer. You can do this after I say, do you think that this person solved it correctly? Okay? And then the last one is like this. Like hand jive, right? So like this, and what this means is I'd like to add on to what blankety blank said. So let's say somebody is like almost there, like they're almost to the answer, but not quite. And you're like, oh, they're so close. This would be like, I want to add on to what they're saying. Now I'm going to change and say a completely different way in which I solved it. But like, I did the same thing as them, but let me help them finish. Or maybe you have something else to add on to what someone has already offered the class. This is what you do. You're going to use this. Okay? So that means I'd like to add on to what so-and-so said. So those are the hand signals. We're going to go through them one more time. And and you're gonna say them out loud and do them with me, even if you're at home by yourself. Got it? Okay, so our first one is this. What does this mean? It means I have an answer. It means that I've solved it already. It means I did it, okay? But once I'm here, do I just like, ooh, fart around and like play and mess around and throw my pencil? No. We're constantly trying to find different ways of solving math. So I'm thinking, how else could I solve this? And this means I have another answer. I have another answer, another answer, another answer. Not another answer, but another way to get to the answer, okay? So I have an answer. I have another way to solve the problem. And what happens is sometimes you'll get your initial answer, and maybe when you're solving it a different way, you'll find out that maybe your first one was wrong. So that's why we always are trying to find different ways of solving stuff. Okay? We have this one. This means me too. And you do this when someone is explaining or justifying their work. You're letting them know, yep, you're on the right path. Okay? So this is something that's hard for fifth graders is we'll be in class and they'll all sit there and I'll know that the student is correct and I'll be like, so this person's wrong? And they'll be like, no, they're right. So you weren't doing this. So your classmate is standing up there nervous, oh, I have to share, unmuting themselves, and you're not supporting them. The whole thing is that you're supporting them. You're giving them support. Because if they see nobody moving, they're gonna think that they're incorrect if they're right. So we're doing this when they are correct. Like, yep, that is the answer that I got. It might not be how you solved it, but if it's the correct answer, you are, yep. This is how we support. Then we have this, which is I solved it differently or I have a different answer. So you're raising your hand, I solved it differently or I have a different answer. When we do this too, we can also add this one, which is I respectfully disagree. So maybe I have a different answer. So I'm going to say, I respectfully disagree with you, Mrs. Rickards, because, and I justify, okay? Or maybe I solved it differently. I broke it up into ones and tens, and then I multiplied the ones and the tens place by that other number. So I'm making sure that I'm explaining. I'm not just like, I solved it differently and I'm just raising my hand. I have to be prepared to share. We have this one, which is I have something to say. So you can do this or this. I know that we have the pointer one, but we did this last year, and because this is like I in sign language, so you could do I or I. So pointing, this means I have something to say. So not like my pencil is blue. No, we're talking about math, so it has to be related to whatever we're talking about, okay? Then we have this, which means we turned and talked and we all shared. Okay? So then we have, and this one means I'd like to add something. That person almost got there and I'd like to add something. Or this person maybe forgot this step, they still got the right answer, so I'm just gonna add that step to theirs. So whatever I'm doing is supporting whoever was speaking before. Okay? So you are gonna make sure that you write these on your paper. You're gonna cut them in half. You don't need to get all crazy and cut them all the way around. You're gonna squeeze dab, glue them on page 2 on the right and the left hand side so that they're facing each other when you close your journal. Okay? When you are finished, you're heading back to the classroom so we can discuss our hand rules. Okay, so you're gonna cut this page in half. And then you are going to glue it on page 2, like I said. So you're going to squeeze dab and glue these in on page 2.